Okay, good evening. I'd like to call to order the school board meeting of July 28th, 2020. Member Sanchez, tonight you have Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes, I'm taking off my mask since some people cannot hear me with it on, so please know that I have my mask next to me, and we are plenty of feet apart from each other. On behalf of the educators, our employees, our families, and our just huge community out there, I want you to realize that this next quarter, probably longer, starts a new chapter in public education. There is a huge learning curve that students, teachers, and district administrators will be navigating yet again together. As we embark on this thing called learning, blended learning, pathways, face-to-face, hybrid, Seminole Connect, we are asking our Facebook friends and anybody on social media as well to refrain from publicly scrutinizing their children's teachers, schools, district, or each other for their decisions on what they would like to do. The lessons they're assigning and all the decisions that they make. The district is working their hardest to do what's best for everyone, as well as all of our employees in the county. And instead, we ask you to stand up for our educators and all of our employees if you see that there is any negativity on your timeline or through social media. Please offer grace to your child's teacher and to other school personnel. I promise that educating and keeping your children safe is still our #1 priority. They are about to navigate uncharted waters and with little idea on what to expect. This is a crisis, not a time to play armchair quarterback. They love your kids, and they will do their absolute best. Please continue to stay safe and healthy, and we can all do this together, united. Thank you so much. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Member Sanchez.
I just wanted to also mention that was something that I had shared on Facebook that I wanted to reiterate.
Thank you very
I
much.
didn't mention that.
Okay, let the record reflect that all school board members, superintendent, school board attorney, and school board clerk are in attendance. Ms. Kraus is participating by WebEx. And Superintendent, do you have any agenda modifications?
Yes, I do, Madam Chair. There are two. The first is the addendum for good cause is marked on our electronic agenda by a green flag named addendum item. And the second is I want to pull item 5BG, revisions to the 2021 student progression plan.
Thank you. Board members, any items for removal, clarification, or separate consideration? Member Calderon?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Member Sanchez?
No modifications, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Member Kraus?
No modifications, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Vice Chair Pennock?
No, ma'am.
I have 3 items, 5AE, 5AF, and 5AG. So they are all asking if a board member would like to participate. The first one is an invitation to negotiate for electronic surplus recycling and disposal. Anyone have an interest?
I'll do that.
Okay, there's no obligations.
That's okay.
Okay, thank you. The next one is for yearbook and photography.
I can do that one or the next one, whatever you prefer.
Okay, thank you. And the last is RFQ for continuing contract construction manager at-risk services for projects less than $4 million.
I'll do that if we
I'd be happy to, Madam Chair.
Christine? Okay, is there a motion to approve the agenda outline?
So moved.
Is there a second? Any discussion?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Superintendent, any presentations this evening?
No presentations, but we do have some school district highlights.
Thank you.
Board members, in spite of all that's going on, I think we have a grand celebration this evening. Our students scored better than ever on their AP exams. And just a reminder to everybody that passing those AP exams, first of all, those are college level courses. That is tuition savings for our families. It's millions of dollars in tuition that our families save because the students don't have to repeat those courses when they go back to college. And what can you say about our teachers? This testing was done during a remote period. Our teachers did all the prep, students did all the work, and our students performed. And I cannot thank this entire system enough, these AP teachers, these students having the skills prior to or even arriving in their AP classes. But this is a massive celebration for Seminole County Public Schools. So at this time, let's have Sarah Borowski brag about our numbers.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Griffin. Tonight, I have the privilege and opportunity to highlight the continued success of Seminole County Public Schools and our advanced placement programs. As you may know, the AP testing experience looked very differently in the spring of 2020. Even with the many changes and challenges that our students faced this spring, more than 7,139 students participated in more than 13,769 AP exams in May. Our students, their families, and our dedicated SCPS AP instructors, they showed their perseverance through these times in order to make this happen. In addition, I would be remiss if I don't acknowledge the support of our school's AP coordinators and our district's information services team that worked diligently to ensure that the students had the necessary tools to be successful in this endeavor. On the second bullet, you will see that the number of SCPS seniors who scored a 3 or higher on at least one AP exam during their high school career increased by 2% over last year's numbers. This is a result of our school board's commitment to increase access to advanced coursework to all students throughout their high school experience. In the third bullet, you will see that the efforts of our SCPS students resulted in a 4% increase in the number of exams earning a passing score of 3 or higher. As a district, our emphasis remains on not only on ensuring student participation, but a continued commitment to be successful in their courses. The next two bullets, they show the district percentage of exams passed exceeded the state percentage of exams passed on 29 out of 38 AP exams. The district percentage of exams passed exceeded the global percentage of exams passed on 25 out of 38 AP exams. Let's take a moment and reflect on how we did versus, compared to the state and compared to the nation and globally. These results reflect this board's commitment for Seminole County Public Schools to be recognized as a premier school district in the state of Florida, as well as being recognized nationally and globally as a district of academic excellence. The final point of pride for this evening is the highlighting of several of the top exams that were administered in our district. As you can see by the numbers listed, psychology, human geography, statistics, computer science, principles, and English language and composition, there's a wide variety of subjects that our students have had the opportunity to participate in, as well as many courses that are for our freshmen through our seniors. Thank you for your time.
Board members, comments?
I just want to congratulate our teachers and our students, and truly what occurred this year taking those exams, it prepared our students even without a passing rate for college. I mean, I heard there were troubles with them getting kicked out while they were taking the exams, and with their tenacity they went back in and they retook the exams, and to have this high of a pass rate without having any practice in these kind of testing conditions is just phenomenal. And I know our teachers, as they do every day, this time especially went above and beyond the call of duty to ensure that every student of theirs had the successful tools that they needed to be successful. And you can see it here. And as you said, Dr. Griffin, this is saving our residents millions of dollars in tuition. So bravo to all.
Thank you. Member Sanchez?
Also, thank you so much. Does this include the Seminole County virtual school students as well?
Yes, this includes all students in Seminole County Public Schools.
Wonderful. I just wanted to make a remark that, you know, some people didn't think that we had all these AP classes for Seminole County virtual school, and we have everything compared to Florida virtual schools, which is awesome. That really helps us a lot because they stay within our system and are doing great with it. So kudos to you all.
Member Krause, do you have anything?
I too just want to thank all of the teachers. This is phenomenal. And the students for their dedication and for passing. This is great news for our district. Thank you.
Vice Chair Pinnock?
I said this to Dr. Griffin earlier this week, and I'm going to say it loud and clear here. I think a sign of a good leader and a good teacher is how well your staff and students perform when you're not in the room. And this slide right here just proves that we have excellent teachers in Seminole County. I couldn't be more proud. I'm very excited that distance learning didn't get in the way. IT didn't get in the way. These kids did it, and it's awesome. And thank you, teachers. We're so very proud of you.
Thank you. I echo your sentiments, board members. And Sarah, thank you for bringing us some good news. It's very much appreciated. Dr. Griffin?
Board members, I want to also thank you. Your commitment to equity allows a self-selection process for advanced placement. Any student who wants to take an advanced placement or IB or other advanced classes, they're allowed to do that. We've exceeded the global percentage, and we're competing with districts around the world who only allow a select group of students, the chosen ones, to take these classes. So kudos to you for maintaining this commitment to equity to allow these opportunities for all students.
Thank you, teachers and students. Okay. Clerk, do you have any public comments?
And we have one more focus on achievement presentation.
Okay, I apologize.
I'm going to ask Dr. Harper. There was a question about what we are getting with the CARES Act money. So I thought, why not just show it right here?
Perfect. Was this sent to us? Did we get a copy of this at home? Copy of this at home?
Can we get Jamie? Can Jamie go?
Jamie, can you unmute yourself and start your part of the presentation?
Thank you, Dr. Harper and Dr. Griffin. I will start off thanking you for allowing me this opportunity to provide an overview of the CARES Act funding, a little bit more of an expansion to what we provided during the work session. As you know, the school district has been allocated just over $11 million from the CARES Act across 4 programs. The underlying purpose of these programs is to support schools' additional needs due to the pandemic. As you'll see on the first slide here, we have our first funding, the Governor's Emergency Education Relief Fund, which we refer to as GEAR. There are 2 funding areas under GEAR. The first is the Summer Recovery Program, which is to be used for supplemental academic support of student learning. This program is a 4-week program. It's face-to-face opportunity, and it's currently being implemented at 8 elementary schools and concludes this Thursday. There are currently 278 students participating across grades 1 through 4. Any funds that remain after the conclusion of this summer program may be used to continue this academic support into the first quarter of the 2021 school year. The second program under GEAR is focused on support of CTE programs at the secondary level with the intent of building infrastructure within these programs. With this funding, the district will provide equipment and supplies to 2 CTE programs at Lyman High School. Through the Child Care and Development Fund, the Early Learning Coalition of Seminole was provided funds to be used in partnership with the school district to offer an academic program for students who will be entering kindergarten in the upcoming school year. Similar to the Summer Recovery Program, this Rising K program provides face-to-face summer instruction and then continued support into the first quarter as funds are available. The program is being offered at the same 8 elementary schools as the Summer Recovery Program and has 38 students attending. On the next slide, I'll discuss the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund, which we refer to as ESSER. Just over $9.8 million has been allocated to Seminole under ESSER funding. These funds will be available until September of 2022. Major projects under ESSER fall into 3 main categories: school or student-based initiatives, facilities-based initiatives, and technology initiatives. Under school or student-based initiatives, several activities will be supported. First, funds will provide 2 supplemental assistant principals and an FTE clerk to support the influx of students at the Seminole County Virtual School, as well as provide assistance with the launch of Seminole Connect. We will also provide professional development to school staff to support implementation of online learning platforms. Trainings will also be offered to families to become more familiar with the learning platform to encourage support of the students at home learning. To provide focused intervention for academically high-need students, an allocation will be provided for schools to offer supplemental academic tutorial. As a support to health and wellness on campus, 6 LPN positions will be placed in schools which reside in areas of high population density or at those schools with communities with higher rates of COVID-19 cases. LPNs will provide additional monitoring of ill students, as well as provide presentations to students on hand washing, sanitation, and hygiene best practices. ESSER will also support the provision of hearing aids and vision testing for students who demonstrate need. Due to the anticipated increase in families who are economically disadvantaged, it is expected that there will be a need for students to receive support for hearing and vision costs due to families' inability to pay for these expenses. Funds will be used to supplement the district's typical support to families through the Families in Need program. As with all federal programs, a proportion of funds have been dedicated to charter schools within the district. This allocation is based on an equitable per pupil amount. In addition, equitable services to private school students and teachers is also a requirement of these funds. These equitable services will primarily focus on provisions of sanitation and personal protective equipment, as well as the purchase of technology to support student learning and other initiatives focused on academic success of students. On the next slide, Mr. Rinaldi will cover the facilities-based initiatives under ESSER.
Good evening, Dr. Griffin and board members. For the facility-based initiative, the allocation was $2.75 million, slightly over 2.75, and there was 3 elements. First, clean and sanitization of facilities. We're looking to use these funds, roughly about $700,000, in order to increase the custodial allocation at every single campus. We're looking at adding an additional 3 hours a day at the elementary, 4 hours at the middle school, and 6 hours at the high school. And this can be used either during the day, doing in-depth disinfection at touch points and critical areas, or it could be used after school at the discretion of the principal. The second element is implementing HVAC strategies in order to enhance both filtration as well as air quality. And through this initiative, we're going to looking at utilizing UVC lighting at assembly areas, music spaces, ESE spaces, and laboratory spaces. We're also looking at filtration, increasing the level of filters that we have within our campuses. Presently, we have what is known as a MERV 8. We're looking to increase The actual efficiency is up to a MERV 11 or 13, and that's a recommendation by the CDC in order to increase and filter air more efficiently. We're also looking at commissioning. We're bringing our HVAC vendors on board. We've already done a facility assessment, so we're evaluating where we can enhance existing equipment or replace existing equipment, some of the older equipment, to make sure that we're actually having fully efficient HVAC systems. The second element, or the third element, is checking electrical. We already have an assessment. We know where our older fans are, our older motors, drives, wired elements and equipment. So we're actually going to be replacing or enhancing those items as well. So the total is 2.75. It's really an enhanced preventive maintenance program that we're looking at doing in order to increase the air quality within all of our classroom as well as other spaces. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Harper now to talk a little bit about technology.
School board members and Dr. Griffin, out of the ESSER funds, we were allocated $3.7 million. And so we have a breakdown of 3 primary items: laptops to the tune of $3.1 million. And these will purchase several thousand Chromebooks. We're also purchasing Windows devices for the virtual school program because that is a requirement for that particular program. The second, we have Wi-Fi or MiFi hotspots. We did talk about that at the board work session. This would account for approximately 2,500. We put an order in yesterday for 500 with T-Mobile, and those will provide for unlimited data plans with filtering and remote management of the Wi-Fi hotspots. So 500 of those should be here within the next week or so. Then we have webcams out of this. Now there are more webcams that have been ordered, but out of this particular funding source, we ordered 500. We put that order in, I believe it was May or early June. Those are back ordered right now, so, but we do have 500 Logitech C920 high-def webcams that have been ordered out of this particular funding source for $40,000. So that's the technology piece. It goes quickly.
Board members, any questions? Dr. Harper, could you talk about the webcams a little bit? Some folks have had concerns with cameras in the classrooms or on the computers.
Yes, ma'am. So the webcams, this particular model of webcam is the typical webcam that you might see on top, sitting on top of screens. It has anywhere from about 110 to 180 degree range of picking up what's going on, in this case, up in front of the classroom, or if it's a virtual teacher, for example, that is streaming his or her lesson to the students.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Tim, I have a question. Based on the numbers that have come in, students enrolling into Seminole Connect and what we experienced with the distance learning, how much of a shortfall in laptops or equipment do you think that we're facing for those students that are going to be, or those families that are going to be in need of using equipment?
We're hoping that, and every day we've got, I've got a gentleman, Patrick Kelly, who is contacting vendors across the country. We had a little bit of good news this morning, or this afternoon. We started off this morning with what was not so good news. So we do think that there will be another order. Right now at Tech Park in Lake Mary, we have roughly 2,000 devices. That's a combination of some devices that we have ordered that have come in, plus donated devices. So we've had, the community has been very generous. I don't know if you saw when you walked into the lobby, but there are 2 bins if you didn't notice them. When you go out, you can see that the community, they're dropping off laptops, and then we have other organizations that have delivered 50, 60 laptops. So we have 2,000 roughly right now. That's a combination between 1,600 that we purchased and about 400 donated laptops that we can hand out. We have another order of 2,640 that should be here around the beginning to the middle of August. And then we have 2 other orders that are about 4,000 laptops that should be here right when school starts. So it is going to be tight. It's going to be a quick turnaround. But the good news is that we have structured with purchasing the agreement that we have with UDT, who is our reseller right now. The devices come ready to go. I mean, they are imaged, they get to us, and then we take them right out to the school. So to answer your question specifically, we're pushing that we don't have a shortage. That is not the case today. but fortunately, the school year does not start today. So we're pushing. And also, there are still a lot of devices out on campus that we can use. And another blast went out today from Michael Lawrence to the devices that have not been returned. So we're making our best effort to make sure that we don't have a shortfall and we get a device into the hands of students who need them.
Dr. Harper, how many computers or devices did we loan out the fourth quarter?
A little over 14,000.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
And then, I'm sorry, I have a question.
Okay.
On top of that, we had about, what, 2,000 that haven't been returned, but those can still be utilized by those students if they need them or they return them. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. We have 2,600 that have not been returned.
Thank you. Also, I have a question for Joe. Thank you so much, Tim. Thank you also for ordering everything and, you know, sharing. I shared it all on social media. Some people are confused. They don't think we have enough hand sanitizer, but I don't think they understand the barrels. Can you explain that a little bit for me, please?
Yes, I mean, we've got enough hand sanitizer right now to have a hand sanitizer station in every single classroom, and we're going to continue that. And we are purchasing 55-gallon drums of the disinfectant in order to be used within the misters that we've purchased as well. And we've ordered the first month and a half, and we're on a cycle right now where every Tuesday and Thursday they're delivering more 55-gallon drums. So we're in good shape when it comes to sanitizers, as well as the misting units that are going to spray the sanitizers within the classrooms after hours.
Great, thank you. And then the foggers you usually use like once a week or whenever you possibly need that, depending upon the situation?
The misters?
The misters are
going to be used on a nightly basis to disinfect both the classrooms, and then we've got another set of misters that we're using for the school buses as well.
Okay, and then what about a fogger, like we were talking about?
Yes, our foggers, as a matter of fact, just got certified with the product that we're purchasing as well. So if we do have a case within a classroom, within a clinic, we're able to go in and do a complete fogging of that space as well, which is a more in-depth disinfectant than actually doing the misting. So, so we're set both for handling cases as they come up, as well as the daily routine that we need to do in order to ensure we have disinfected surfaces.
Perfect. And I know I had mentioned to you, since I was one of those classrooms that had 10 animals, literally, pets in my classroom, that probably would not be a good idea to have any animals in any of the classrooms. Am I correct?
Our preference is not to bring the animals back at this point until further notice, exactly.
Thank you. I don't want anybody to, you know, one too many of anybody, human being, of course, is too many. Thank you so much.
Presentation, it was very informative. Made good choices with those dollars. Madam Clerk, do you have any public comments?
Yes, Madam Chair. We had one public comment submitted over the email.
So you'll read that. There's no need to read the statement.
Yes, I've got no public comment submitted.
Okay, thank you.
The only public comment was submitted by Alexa Lankoth. And she writes, "Dear Superintendent and members of the Seminole County School Board, my name is Alexa Lankoth, and I am an elementary teacher in this district. I am writing in regards to the Equity Advisory Committee, and I would like to be considered for a position on this committee. It is my passion and drive as a teacher to constantly learn, reflect, and implement equity into my daily practice. I would very much appreciate the opportunity to share this passion not just with my students, but with all students in this district. I've been an elementary school teacher at diverse Title I schools for 8 years, and this past year I taught within the school district. Last year I had the opportunity to embed equity into my grade level social studies lessons through the inclusion of absent narratives, voices or stories often left out or marginalized. For example, I created a lesson on cities founded by people of color when studying the beginnings and founder of Sanford. I would like to provide opportunities to share absent narratives with students across the district. I have also sought out many experiences to broaden my own perspectives and understandings of people and their cultures. I started my journey as a teacher in the practicum program, which I planned, led, and participated in weekly seminars that focused on social justice. Through this experience, I pushed myself outside of my comfort zone to better understand ways of life different from my own, as well as developed a sense of seeking to understand others. I continued my equity journey through attending 6 years of Seeking Educational Equity and Diversity Seed University classes. These classes opened my mind to different ways of thought and being, and to my own implicit biases. They were a monthly reminder to keep equity at the forefront of my mind, and I modified my pedagogy and content of my classroom based on my reflections. At my previous district, I was part of my school's equity team, in which we created and implemented a curriculum that used specific read-aloud books to start conversations around race, socioeconomic status, ability, and gender roles. We also researched culturally and linguistically responsive practices and activities and shared them with staff to become a part of our school's pedagogy. I would love nothing more than to bring the resources and knowledge of these experiences to this district through the Equity Advisory Committee. Lastly, on a more personal note, this work is extremely important to me as a future mother of a child of a mixed race. My child and all children need to feel validated at school, and their culture and identity should be affirmed by SCPS staff, curriculum, and experiences. I have learned that when we take the time to have conversations about differences, we not only create a more understanding environment, we create trusting relationships that lead to more intrinsic desires to learn. It is our job to make district-wide decisions through an equity perspective to ensure the best possible education for all students. Please take me into consideration when forming this committee. I am dedicated to this work and I'm excited to start this journey with you. Thank you for your time and decision to bring equity to our district. Sincerely, Alexa Lankoff.
Thank you. Superintendent, do you have a recommendation?
I do. My recommendation is that the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Superintendent, do you have any items removed for separate consideration? I'm not aware of any.
Not at this time, but I do have hearing dispositions. My recommendation is that the School Board of Seminole County approve the student disciplinary recommendations from June 22nd, 2020.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Superintendent, any unfinished business?
No unfinished business, but we do have some new business items.
Thank you.
Okay, the first is that the School Board of Seminole County approve the addendums to the current agreements with 7 firms for continuing contracts for construction management at-risk services for construction projects as a result of request for statements of qualification 1516015RFQ-DW.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve? Move to approve.
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second, I don't know who the
Okay.
clerk took.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Superintendent, item B.
Item B is that the School Board of Seminole County approve the recommendation of the Insurance Committee and authorize the Employee Benefits and Wellness Department to move forward with renewing the dental insurance plan and bring the final policies and agreements back for final approval.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I
Yes,
need
ma'am.
to abstain from voting pursuant to Florida Statute Section 112.3143, and to avoid even the appearance of a conflict, I am abstaining from this vote as it may result in a special gain or loss for a relative of mine.
Thank you, Dr. Calderon. Board members, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Superintendent, item C of a recommendation.
My recommendation is that the School Board of Seminole County approve the formation of the School Board of Seminole County Equity Advisory Committee.
Thank you. Is there a
So
motion to
moved.
approve? Thank you. Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Have you all turned your names into Dr. Griffin?
You haven't asked for our names
I
yet.
haven't asked yet, but after approval tonight,
But
I'm
first-
turning you 3 names. That'd be great.
Wait,
I am.
You know Miss Ahmed, she's always Johnny on the spot.
awesome.
I am grateful that this is.
Yes, me too.
We're here with this committee. I look forward to what discussions we have, what it brings back to us, and I'm very excited. So thank you for listening to us and moving.
I agree 100%. I'm very, very happy.
About us taking action, and this will be your legacy, because this committee will continue equity as a focus for
Exactly.
as long as there's a school board.
Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, Superintendent report. The first item, board members, I want to just put on your radar, I'm going to be bringing to the August 11th meeting, is as we know, when we created the reopening plan, we were very clear it's fluid, things are going to change, we're going to have to tweak the plan. I will tell you that today we had a fantastic presentation by Nemours, who I appreciate very, very much. The primary speaker was a pediatrician virologist, and he recommended hands down that the number one way to prevent coronavirus at our schools is to require masks throughout the day. So I'm going to be bringing that to you on the 11th of August. We still have to work out, we still have written outside students can have their mask off. When they're eating, they can have them off, but this is primarily to have on in the classrooms because it is difficult to truly socially distance 6 feet apart. And I know that's a difficult decision to make, but I want to put it on your radar to think about. But that was the recommendation this morning.
So Dr. Griffin, would a face shield qualify to replace a mask?
Absolutely. Face mask, shield, absolutely.
And I know on some of the younger children especially, we've seen where you could wear like a baseball cap and hook it on.
Yeah, cap, the glasses.
Okay.
And I will tell you, loud and clear, we have some students, because of medical reasons, cannot wear a face covering. They will not have to, but we do have to provide their teacher with extra protection. So we will do that.
And along with that, we have like 25,000 plexiglass dividers. We're going to possibly order more of those so we can make sure we have enough for everybody. Is that correct?
Yes, 25,000 are ordered right now, so they'll get distributed among the schools for small group work, for the teacher's desk, and for that. And with half of the students right now signing up for Seminole Connect or virtual, that will cover us rather well, but I think we're still going to need more if we really like them. I do want to tell you, though, those of you that were on Congresswoman Murphy's call last night, I really tried to stick to the federal issues. And a sticking point for us is that we are getting ready, we'll be submitting to FEMA. And FEMA is, at this time, is not covering the desk shields, a lot of the PPE, the cleaning and sanitizing equipment. So we are putting forth a lot of money, millions of dollars, to pay for these things. It's the right thing to do. We will do it. But please, any connections that you have or anything that you can do, she seems serious about reaching out and working on that. But it's very, very important. The safety of our employees is number one. We have to make sure that we do everything to protect our employees, protect our students, and we will do what we have to do, but certainly some FEMA relief would help us get down the road. The other thing I brought up with her was that the Families First Coronavirus Response Act requires, which we support, staff members who need to be home because of positive testing, quarantining, or whatever, to reimburse for a certain number of days. And that act is in place, but there are no federal reimbursement credits for that. So that's something else that can be worked on. And I know a lot of this was put together quickly. I'm pretty hopeful that there will be, but I think it's important, everybody has connections, that you understand the challenges with that. And the third thing, which I didn't have time to bring up last night, which has been near and dear to our hearts for years, this country collects probably billions, but I'll say millions so I don't exaggerate, of dollars in FCC tax. I have spoken, I was asked to testify a couple times before the FCC committee many, many years ago. That money is used in a variety of ways, and that money, in my personal opinion, I'm not expressing the opinion of the board, that money should be used to provide internet access for every child and teacher in our country, that there's enough dollars that would come in to do that, and that money is not used for that purpose, and it would solve a large problem for education, for the equity gap, for the digital gap, if that was utilized. So three important things: FEMA, the Coronavirus Response Act, and FCC. Just want to put it on your radar.
Madam Chair.
Dr. Griffin,
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
Which one, me?
Whichever one of you said first, and I was not looking that direction. Dr. Calderon.
Dr. Griffin, might I suggest that we reach out to Ally and let her lead us in the way to best orchestrate our communications? I know they have a national footprint as well, that they might be able to coach us as to who to contact to get the best results, because we have got a great community that is very active in sending emails that we've all experienced over the past few weeks. And I think there's a lot of people that want to support quality education. They want to support our teachers. They want to support our students. And if we could coach them into how best to do that to affect positive change on those three items specifically, I think that would be time well spent.
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion. I felt like last time we didn't make enough traction because we did not have federal representation. And I think through our state lobbyist, she has connections, and maybe we'll get some headway that way. There are a lot of people in support of this. It's just a challenge. Great idea.
I also had I had heard that the face mask shields just came across on the news that they were not as protective as the masks. Is that something we need to check in on? I mean, I know that there's many children that have sensory issues, but I also love the fact that a teacher's emotions can be shown with the face shield on, as well as children that possibly need them, but I believe there was a report stating that they weren't as effective. Can we check on that?
Yeah, I think, Ms. Sanchez, what we'll do is get a medical opinion on that. There's a lot of things on the news, and I have to tell you honestly, I don't know what to believe.
I don't either.
But we will seek medical opinion on that issue for sure.
Thank you.
well, regarding the same issue, there was a couple of social media posts from our schools indicating that face masks are not allowed. So I'm not sure where that communication came from.
Face masks.
Face shields.
That's you, okay.
Sorry,
Okay,
face
okay.
shields.
Okay.
So
We will
need-
clarify that. Ms. Beeman
Clarify.
was very clear in the reopening plan, because I had written in face mask, but it was corrected before it was approved. Ms. Beeman, what was the language that you used? Face protectants or?
The definition is face covering, and there's a particular definition for that. The specification regarding, the language regarding face shield, I believe, was in the area of accommodation. In the event that students were unable, for medical reasons, to have or to wear a face covering that met that definition. So there absolutely was language in the plan that addressed both those situations.
And we will readdress that with our school leaders. Thanks for letting me know. Okay. May I move on?
Yes, please.
Okay. Items A, B, and C are read-only items, but item D, Ms. Faison is filling in for Dr. Mia Coleman to discuss the 2021 South Seminole Academy Skills Aligned Gradebook. Big title.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Griffin. For the 2020-21 school year, the South Seminole Academy will be utilizing the Skills Aligned Gradebook feature in Skyward. This team has collaborated with members of the Assessment and Accountability team, data quality team members, and the Department of Teaching and Learning to ensure that gradebooks are aligned to the district's instructional plans, state assessments, and Common 9 Weeks assessments. The Skills Aligned Gradebook for families, teachers, and students will allow for grade transparency, provide continuous formative feedback corresponding to state assessments and Common 9 Weeks assessments, provide real-time student performance data, provide data for student self-evaluation. It will communicate the skills masteries of students to parents and increase parent-student-teacher communication in identifying areas where students flourish and where students need additional support. For core academic areas, domains and clusters aligned with the end-of-course exams and state assessments have been already front-loaded into the Skills Aligned gradebook, and they are available for teacher use. For our elective courses, they will have to create assignments and activities based on the standards designed in CPOMs for those courses. This will ensure that all courses are aligned to standards and all activities will mirror mastery of the standards. The course grades that parents see in Skyward Family Access will provide our families with a more detailed overview of their child's performance. Parents will now have the ability to click through skills and subjects to hone in on the successes and challenges that their students are having, which again will improve parent, student, teacher communication, and for students to better have an idea and families of the progress of their students in those courses. To guarantee the success of the gradebook change, teachers will be provided with multiple changes, trainings, and professional development opportunities, including starting in pre-planning. Teachers also have the option to use a traditional gradebook in lieu of this new gradebook if they so choose. At the beginning of the school year, families and students will also be trained in how to navigate the new gradebook feature and to track their students' progress. The collaboration and training of all stakeholders will be key components in this school's transition to the Skills Aligned gradebook.
Thank you. Board members, any questions? Sanchez?
I love it. I'm so excited. I'm hoping that this flourishes into every school. I think that the transparency and the communication through Skyward, didn't even realize that we had that opportunity within it. And when you all shared that information, I'm jumping up and down thinking, wow, this is amazing. I'm so excited. Thank you.
And we'll also work with those families and teachers to capture some survey and get feedback on what's working, what's not working, so that we can tweak throughout the school year and hopefully get some great lessons learned so that hopefully we can utilize this feature in other campuses.
Thank you, and thank you for setting up calls for us earlier to go over this, other than just tonight. We appreciate it very much. Thank you. Board members, anything else? Really haven't served on any committees or done anything.
I have.
Oh, you have? Okay. Member Calderon.
Sure. Madam Chair, if I could, before I start talking about my committee's assignment, I know we have all received a lot of emails in the past week asking to publicly meet and answer some questions of teachers, and I just thought this was an appropriate time and place that we could make a general statement of why, even though we want to even hug our teachers, we can't at this point in time. And Ms. Beeman, if you could perhaps review for the public why at this juncture we cannot host a meeting of that kind.
Absolutely. Board members, you know that Florida law requires that a public employer negotiate with the bargaining agent and not directly with individual employees. And there's a process, there's a lawful process for negotiating, and we're currently in that process. In fact, there's a bargaining session tomorrow. In other words, the SEA notified the district that it desires to bargain the impact of the reopening plan or certain aspects of that. And notwithstanding how the proposed meeting was characterized, I could not recommend to you all to bypass this lawful process and sit down to talk with individual employees. Some lawyers might call that negotiating. And when we are in the middle of our process, I think it could likely result in an allegation of not adhering to the process. And so that is why I recommended, I respectfully requested that the superintendent and that you all not sit down with the individual employees and allow that process to work out. We are moving forward as quickly as we can, but we are in the middle of that. There were a number of other issues, but that was my primary concern.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know we all like to be very transparent and open and honest, and I felt this was the best way to put it out there for people to understand.
Thank you, Dr. Calderon. I actually asked Mr. Russi at the beginning if he would be available if we needed him to. Mr. Russi, you know, we are not part of the bargaining. We do not attend those meetings. Is it a dialogue that if a teacher wanted to attend, they could and they can ask questions? I don't know how that works, and I don't know if any of the others know how it works.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Griffin. Teachers can attend the meeting. They're public meetings. If they have specific issues they would like to be addressed at the table, that should go through the Seminole Education Association, through their representatives. They wouldn't necessarily come to the table with issues. That there's a process where they would bring that through that committee, and they would bring those forward at that time.
And they have a representative on each campus?
Yes, ma'am. There's an SEA representative on each campus, and they would have the opportunity to talk to the SEA leadership, Mr. Smith, the
Great.
president.
Thank you.
Charlotte Richardson.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I ask one
Yes.
question? Can this meeting that's being requested, or this forum that's being requested, happen once the vote on the collective bargaining process is finished?
Well, we are,
Specific concern.
there's a number of bargaining issues that we are engaged in, Vice Chair. It's not just the impact bargaining. We are also, yes, a number of other issues that will be ongoing. And the timing of after we're no longer in that process, then, and I'm assuming that the union would agree that we're not in that process, then that could likely happen. Obviously, second point, when there is a meeting of any two members of the board or more, where it is foreseeable that there is going to be discussion on issues that could come before you for action, then those are still meetings that you would have to appropriately notice and meet the requirements of the Sunshine Law. So even when we're not in the bargaining process, then there are still requirements that apply just for the board that are separate than if, for example, the superintendent had a conversation that we would have to make sure happened before that kind of discussion could happen. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I did have two committees that I served on, if I could give you quick
Dr. Calder.
updates on that. The Orlando Science Center actually had some good news. If you remember, the Pompeii exhibit that was going worldwide has been rescheduled and will now be in Orlando from October 26th through January 24th. So I'm sure many of our schools who are studying that part of history would love to attend. And on the sad side, the Central Florida Zoo, as you know, we were planning on having our Lantern Festival again this winter, and all of those exhibits and all of the employees that put the exhibits together actually come from China. And so that company in China declined at this time to come and install it. So we're hoping to do it sometime the following year. So thank you to everybody who's been supporting the zoo as you have, because we need to keep those animals healthy for generations to come to go and visit in our schools. So thank you.
Member Sanchez?
I had my first Arts Alive meeting last week, and we decided that we are going to try to do it virtually, but we have a lot of kinks to work out and figure out how we're going to do this. We have another meeting next week, and I will keep you posted on everything and send you over the notes of the meeting from last week so you all have the information. But I know that when we did Allie's Hope, our mental health golf tournament, and then we did all the other stuff virtually, we actually made more money in our mental health virtual auction than we've ever made before, because so many people were able to participate that never participated. And the same thing goes for Cattle Barons Ball, which I sit on with American Cancer Society for kids with cancer. We made more money than we usually make, because people usually can't afford a $500 ticket or a $1,000 ticket, but they want to help. So they're buying the items online. So it seems to be going well on that line. Also, The graduations were fabulous. I'm so glad we were able to pull that off. It was like, you know, little Disney lines, and everything went really well. So thank you to all the administrators and principals and Dr. Griffin and all of our executive board and cabinet for everything you did to make it possible for our families to see our wonderful seniors walk across the stage. It was such a beautiful moment. Really hard not to hug them, or you know, shake their hands, but at least they were able to have that special moment. Currently, I'm still mentoring some children, and I could always use some more help. If anybody's interested in mentoring any children, please reach out to me, or take stock in children. Currently, I'm doing some on my own, and I really need some help. I can't do it on my own, and anything you guys could do or provide would be great. Reach out to me. And once again, the hard work and dedication from all of you all, I know we're going to have a lot of hiccups on the way, and it's not going to probably be as smooth sailing as like we would want it to be, because a lot of us are really into making sure things go smoothly. And of course, you know, I would like to, you know, see school pushed back, but I know that's not going to happen, because it's getting worse out there, not better. And I just want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart for everything you're doing. I mean, I was here on Saturday and Sunday, and you all were working from like 7 o'clock in the morning until like 10 o'clock at night. And I'm just amazed at the wonderful faculty and employees and family that we have. And thank you from the bottom of our hearts for everything you do day in and day out. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is the Seminole County Virtual School is really kicking it up a notch. A lot of people are communicating and learning about all the programs that we offer that maybe Florida Virtual School does not offer. And so I'm liking that, because of course we get to keep the money rather than send money to Florida Virtual School. We need every bit we can get. Thank you so much.
Member Kraus.
Thank you. The children's committee meeting isn't till next week, so I'll have an update for our next board meeting. And SHAC is also meeting in September. I just wanted to remind everybody, the foundation, it's not my committee, but they keep sending us emails, so I'd like to promote. They're collecting back to school items. We can use hand sanitizer or any other supplies. And if you order from Amazon, I'm not plugging Amazon, I'm plugging the foundation. You type in Amazon Smile, and you can select a charity, and a portion of your purchases goes to support that charity. So I'm plugging the Foundation for Seminole County Public Schools. Our family alone has, don't tell my husband, but we've given over $100 with our purchases so far this year. It's easy to
look over
do.
her
It's
shoulder.
a lot better than box tops. So thank you for that, and thank you for allowing me to meet virtually. As you know, my dad's in the hospital. His COVID test was negative, which is good news. His kidney is not doing too well though, but thank you for allowing me to participate virtually.
We appreciate that you took time away from worrying about your dad, and if there's anything we can do to help support you, please do let us know. Vice Chair Pennock.
Thank you, Christine, for sharing all the information on the foundation. Again, any school supplies that come in go to our classrooms, our teachers, and our kids in need, and so it's every little bit helps. I just wanted to give you guys an update on the interlocal status. It is in the process with everything else that is going on. Right now, it's in the hands of all of the attorneys with all of the different local agencies. Joe is working very hard to get this back within the first week of August. September, then they'll do a B review, and then hopefully by the mid to end October, do our review with the planners for PTAC and get everybody back together and hopefully finalize the interlocal agreement. So we'll have it updated, and that process
process will be done for the next year or two. From your lips to God's ears.
Yeah. It's been many years, like, oh, I want to say 9.5.
And really, right now, the holdup is just being able to get everybody in the room. So it's managing everything digitally, electronically, and attorneys.
Thank you.
Come on,
I
Sarita.
love you, Sarita. That's all for me.
Okay, thank you. Other than participating with the Chambers of Commerce and going to their WebExes, I have not attended anything. My meetings have been pushed ahead, so I have nothing to actually report on that. I have a couple questions for Amy on Arts Alive. I know it's supposed to look different. Are you allowed to tell us anything? Probably is maybe a no.
I think I'm going to defer that to Dr. Griffin. I know there's been a lot of changes on what we're going to look for funding, or how we're going to use the funding, and how it's going to expand the event.
Okay.
So,
Maybe
Dr.
another time bring it back, unless you're comfortable sharing it? Okay.
I tell you what I know.
Okay.
First of all, the emphasis will always be on the arts and supporting the arts. However, Seminole County has a lot to offer, and this is our main fundraiser for the foundation. So throughout the program, they're going to highlight some of our non-arts programs that are so outstanding that involve our students. So you'll probably see fewer arts-related acts and showcasing of other programs that we have going on in the district. So I think it's going to give a better feel for who we are as a district. I don't know if they worked out exactly, but they were going to come up with a minimum amount that would go to the arts, and then the remainder to other programs or something. But it's not to step away from the arts. It's really about a general feeling that an event of that caliber and the amount of work that goes into it should be just pulling in a lot more money for the district than what that event does. So very excited about the changes. A little worried about the planning right now. Here we are in the situation that we're in, but I think we're gonna, it's kind of what we've been talking about for a while. It's gonna be really Arts Alive 2020.
I saw that Bob Fryer put his house on the market. Is he staying local, do you know?
I don't know, he's been texting me, but we didn't talk about that. I think he's staying local.
Okay, I hope so. And then most, if not all of us, participated with social distancing, masks, and hand sanitizers, stuffing a lot of backpacks for the foundation for Seminole County Public Schools. And we really had a fun afternoon. We worked hard. They had some great music and some really nice folks that we worked with, many of them board members. So.
And recent graduates.
And recent
many of the
graduates,
kids
yes.
that were there
It was awesome.
were our robotics champions.
True.
And had already graduated and actually participated in the graduation ceremonies this year.
Excellent.
So it was a lot of fun talking to them and where they're going to school, what their plans are.
Those are Team 7 from Oviedo.
I did graduation for Winter Springs High School, and one of the things that was talked about was, truancy for the fourth quarter, and every so often I'd get a nod, and that's one of my kids. That's one of the kids that I knocked on their door, and look, they're here graduating today, and the principals and administrators were really, really proud of that fact, and it kind of gave me chills, so thank you all. Just like everyone else said, thank you all for being here tonight, for all you do every single day. I'm done talking. You have families at home that you need to go see, so do you have anything else,
Just,
Dr. Griffin?
I do want to publicly thank the board. When we're talking about the graduations, these were not 90-minute events. You were there for many, many hours to watch every graduate from the school that you were at walk across the stage, and it meant a lot to our families. And I'm just really honored that you did that, and I know that meant a whole lot to those graduates. A lot of bumps in the road getting to graduation. But we did deliver a graduation, as Ms. Sanchez mentioned, and your participation really meant the world to the school. So thank you for giving up an entire Friday.
It was our pleasure. I'm sure I speak for the whole board, and I was the lucky one. I got to do 2 graduations because Kearns did theirs on Saturday.
That's so nice.
Member Sanchez?
They're not going to want to go back to the other big ones.
It was so personalized. It really was.
I wanted to mention one thing for the record for anybody that's listening. We receive so many emails a day, and there's no possible way that we can get to all the emails. So if one of the school board members responds to the email, it's not that we all didn't get it or didn't respond. For the record, I want any parent, teacher, or any employee to realize, or community member to realize that on behalf of the board, we're putting that on there so you know that we did see it and that we're getting it to the right person. So maybe one or two people may have responded, but maybe not the whole board. It's not that we don't care about what your issue is or what's going on. It's just that we saw that somebody else has received it and already took care of the matter. And I just wanted to make sure people realize that, because I think some people thought that some of us cared and some of us didn't, and that's not the case. We all deeply care about every single email and every single phone call, but we are trying to divide and conquer as much as possible. Thank
I
you.
appreciate that, Member Sanchez, because it also taxes our administrators that they, you know, you may pick one person, I may pick somebody else, and they're all working on the same thing for the same parent
Right.
or community member. So with no further business, this school board meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.